Hey everyone, it's Linnea. I'm here with a video for the ThermOWeb and Brutus Monroe collaboration. I'm going to be working with some of the foils. I have here pictured on the left is Blue Waves, and on the right is Rain Glow. I love both of them. The Blue Waves has like that pool effect, and the Rain Glow has it's a rainbow pattern, but there's little stars mixed in there too. It's so pretty. I'm going to be working with the ornaments die. This is perfectly sized to cut out a card front for an A2 sized card. But Brutus Monroe has a bunch of Slimline products that I'm going to be working with today, including the Slimline card panels, the Slimline pre-cut card bases, and the Slimline envelopes. So I thought it would be fun to turn this A2 sized card into a Slimline design. I took a piece of white cardstock and I covered it with a piece of a 6x6 easy cut adhesive sheet, and then I placed that ornaments die into the adhesive. So the adhesive is up and I'm actually cutting into the adhesive. I don't need to cut this whole card panel because I'm just going to be cutting around those ornaments. You can see here how easily these pieces pop apart, even with that added layer from the easy cut adhesive sheet. Absolutely perfect. I trimmed off what I didn't need, and I'm going to cover this die with the Blue Waves foil. Now, when you're using foil, you want to make sure that your adhesive, no matter what it is, if it's the double-sided adhesive, if it's sticky tape, even if it's a transfer gel, you want the adhesive to touch the silver side of the foil. So when you're looking at it, it should be pretty side of the foil, your adhesive, and then your paper. I found that a great way to get an even coverage or transfer of the foil into the adhesive is to use my die cutting machine. So I'm using a folded piece of cardstock and I'm placing this into my die cutting machine so that my foil is up against my smooth plate, not my cutting plate. Then I'm going to peel that back and look at that. Completely perfectly covered, not even a little tiny smidge of somewhere where it's not covered. So now let's go on to completing my card. I'm going to be making a shaker card today. So I have one of the pre-cut card bases. These will cut a card that is 3.5 by 8.5. So I'm going to score right down the center at 3.5 and fold that in half. Now I'm going to do some ink blending. I wanted to keep my background simple because I really want the focus to be on that Blue Waves foil. So I'm doing just a bit of ink blending. I'm starting with Distress Oxide in Peacock Feathers, and I'm just going to go all around the outside of this pre-cut card base. And that's just going to give a little bit of darkness to the edges, and then I will blend in the center with Speckled Egg. Really easy blending, nothing fancy. Like I said, I really want the focus to be on that Blue Waves foil. Okay, so I mentioned we're going to be doing a shaker card, so I need to create a frame. So I have one of these Slimline card panels, and I was just going to use a die and cut out the center portion of that panel so that I would just be left with a white rectangular frame. But then I thought how fun it would be to use that Blue Waves foil around the outside as well. Now, in hindsight, I may have done this a little bit differently, and I may have used double-sided adhesive tape and just had a slight foil in the center of my frame, but I decided to cut little pieces of the 6x6 easy cut adhesive sheets and cover that where the frame is going to be, so the whole frame will be foiled with that Blue Waves foil. I'm going to use some purple tape and hold this in place. Keep in mind that the purple tape will not stick to the easy cut adhesive sheet backer because that's a non-stick surface. So you want to use a piece of tape that's big enough that it's actually going to hold on to your die and your cardstock in the center. Now I'm going to go ahead and lay this frame into some of that Blue Waves foil. Again, keeping my adhesive against the reverse side of the foil, so you want to put it into the adhesive pretty side up. The foil I have I cut them down into 6x6 adhesive sheets, so it's not quite long enough to foil the entire Slimline panel. But that's okay. I did it in 2 steps, and that actually ended up in a really fun effect because now I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine, and you're going to see there's foil that was left exposed because I had to do it twice. And the foil that was exposed that got run through my die cutting machine had pressure on it And so it has this matte finish, and I really liked it. So I went ahead and tucked this into a piece of printer paper, and I just ran the whole thing through my die cutting machine again, and now you can see that this whole foiled frame has that matte effect. It's so cool. I think this is something I'm definitely going to use in the future, adding extra pressure onto my foil to get a different look. So now let's go ahead and make the shaker frame. I have some 1/4-inch double-sided tape from iCraft, and I'm going to just go all around the outside with this double-sided tape, and then I will adhere a piece of acetate that's cut to 3.5 by 8.5 inches onto my frame. Now I made a mistake here, so if you repeat this card, don't make the same mistake I did. I wanted to have these little Christmas baubles peeking up from inside of that frame, and so I should have added these baubles or from the ornaments die onto my frame before the acetate, and I forgot. So I had to peel back the acetate, and this double-sided adhesive tape from iCraft and ThermOWeb is very strong. So I tore my frame. You know how paper is like double layered? I tore that. It'll still work, it's okay, but it was kind of a panic attack moment for a minute. So all I did was peel that back. I added some more of that 1/4-inch double-sided tape, and then I'm going to add my ornaments die so that it'll peek on the front of my shaker window. I'm going to use some iCraft Ultra Bond liquid adhesive just to make sure that my ornaments don't shift around. They are adhered to the frame with that double-sided tape, but I need to adhere the rest of the ornaments onto the actual acetate itself. So I'm using little dots of that iCraft Ultra Bond liquid adhesive because I know that's going to hold on tight even though it's on a slick surface. Then I will replace my frame and I'm ready to go. I used some foam tape from iCraft and ThermOWeb to create my shaker frame. You want to make sure that that's all sealed up on all 4 sides so that none of these little sequins are going to peek out. And then I added some silver because I love silver and blue. I think it's a classic Christmas combination. So I added some silver star confetti sequins into my shaker, and there you go. Look at that. Isn't that fun? And I hope that you can see as I'm kind of showing you here and adding my greeting onto the bottom of my card, I hope that you can see the difference in the foil on the ornaments die, where that's the true look of the foil, and then on the frame where I have used pressure from my die cutting machine to give that foil a matte effect. I will show it again slower at the very end so you can really see the difference between the two. So Brutus Monroe has these amazing slimline envelopes, and he also just came out with the Slimline holiday stencils. So I'm going to just decorate the flap of my envelope with these ornaments, and I thought that that would coordinate well with my shaker card. So I would have a full kind of a set envelope and card. So I'm going to use some purple tape for masking. I only want my ornaments to be stenciled onto the flap of the envelope. And then I'm going to use some Peacock Feathers Distress Oxide ink so that it will match my card absolutely perfectly. Now the Slimline stencil isn't large enough to cover the entire flap. That's no problem. I'm just going to shift it over and mask off the sides again, reusing that same purple tape, and then I will ink blend again. And I'll have the whole flap of my card covered with this pretty ornaments from the Slimline Holiday Stencil. I'm going to peel back this purple tape so you can see. Isn't it pretty? And in hindsight, I think that I could probably use some glitz on here because that'll dry pretty flat, and I believe it would go through the mail. I'm going to test that. So here's my finished project. You can see even with all the thickness on the shaker card, it still fits perfectly into that custom envelope. Look at all those shaker bits in there shaking around. And then I'm going to get close up for you so you can see the difference in the foil. This is the Blue Waves foil, but see how different it looks. Isn't it so fun? Okay, so that's it. That's my card. Head over to the shop so you can shop these new goodies. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.